In today's episode of the Choose Hard podcast, I have Dr. Sean Pastuch on with me. And Sean has been a friend of mine for nearly 8 years now. He has known me for a long time, since I was Cody Boom Boom McBroom running Boom Boom Performance, which sounds just god awful and hilarious now. But the point is he's been in my life as a colleague, as a mentor from afar, as a good friend that can provide a lot of wisdom, and as another person really creating a lot of impact in the industry. Sean helps coaches who are striving to help people get out of pain, because he was once a chiropractic and spent a lot of years in the PT/chiropractic world, as well as the CrossFit world, as he built Active Life RX, which was a company that he founded in really the pursuit of helping CrossFit athletes get out of pain and perform better while recovering optimally to continue performing at their best. But Sean has transformed and transcended his levels of success over the years tremendously, and it's been so cool to watch. And today, to be able to extract so much information and wisdom and knowledge out of him for you, the listener, to take home with you. So if you're somebody who is in pain, or you're somebody who is really struggling with identity and creating change in their life and being stuck where you're at because you're not willing to accept reality and make a breakthrough to create more change, or you're a coach, you're a chiro, you're a business owner, you're a gym owner, you're somebody who needs to understand this aspect of change, behavior, psychology in order to be more successful financially, this is the guy and this is the podcast. Sean shares stories, he shares tactics and strategies, and he shares a lot of wisdom today on how you can be more successful in creating change in your life and in the lives around you. So without any further ado, let's get on to this episode with the one and only Dr. Sean Pastuch.
The greatest things in life all start with a challenge.
You must accept that everything is hard before it gets easy.
Everything you want in life begins with a hard path.
All right, Dr. Sean, welcome to the podcast, man. I'm excited to have you, and I'm always excited to talk to you, dude. Like I was telling you the other day via text, I'm like, if there's any excuse to travel and hang out, I always want to do it. I've known you for, 7 years? 6 years?
Yeah. It'll be 8 in April.
Crazy.
Our anniversary is coming up in April.
Oh, I can't wait, man.
Yeah.
We definitely got to get together for that. It's always just a pleasure, man. You have a lot of wisdom in the industry and just in life. So I just always enjoy, honestly, just our conversations outside of professional settings. And that's what I want to bring to this, is just be able to just extract so much knowledge from you, because I know there's so much in there. And I think the people are going to get a lot out of this. So first and foremost, man, tell us who you are, what you do, and ideally, like, who do you serve or who do you help? Who is the primary person that you are passionate about helping? And you can serve this to me any way you want. And I'm just going to kind of start poking and riffing off of that.
I got you. My name is Dr. Sean Pastuch. You can call me Sean. I'm best known for founding my company, Active Life. I've written a book, Turn Pro, The Fitness Professional's Guide to Ethical Sales and Career Fulfillment. And I speak on a fairly regular basis. So if you've heard my name, but you can't place it, it's probably from one of those 3 places. I was working in a rehab clinic that I owned back in the day, and people were coming to me to help them overcome chronic aches and pains. It wasn't the acute stuff. It was the stuff they've had for months or years that no one else could help them solve. It got to the point that an Olympic medalist, professional baseball players, CrossFit Games athletes, CrossFit Games champions, business titans were flying out to see me in my clinic on Long Island. And then they would fly home and they had to go back and work with their coach on the stuff that I would explain, or I worked with them remotely. Pretty soon, I found myself coaching coaches from around the world to help them help their own clients overcome these chronic aches and pains. Because the problem that we have today that people don't know about and aren't talking about, that I think is a huge problem, so it also makes it a huge opportunity to solve it, is that chronic musculoskeletal pain is something that 55 million Americans struggle with. And the medical system isn't set up to solve for it, neither is the fitness industry. But I believe coaches are best positioned to be the people who can resolve that problem long-term if they chose to be. And it's my aim to create a world where chronic musculoskeletal pain is a thing of the past if people choose so. And I believe coaches are the people who are going to solve it. So that's my history, my vision, my mission, all kind of wrapped into one.
Did you get into this industry because you were in pain? Like, what was the reason that you actually started going down this path initially?
Yeah, no. I got into this industry by accident over and over and over again. So I ended up in pain, but no. I was taking a gap year from university to the world. And I decided I would become a personal trainer in that gap year. And I saw that the blue ocean in the gym where I was working, Equinox, was people who the other trainers didn't want to work with. Like, I can either compete for the hot chicks and the jack dudes with everybody, or I can work with the misfits. I can work with the people who hop on the pec deck because it's easy to use. The people who come in, get on the elliptical, get no results, and go home. The people who are like hiding around the corners. If you've ever been to a big gym, you know who I'm talking about. You can picture them. Nobody talks to those people. Nobody tries to help those people. So I was like, I'll help them. And my business got so full so fast, I didn't even know how it happened. I was still afraid to ask people to buy 12 sessions at a time because I couldn't imagine them spending that kind of money. And I was full. In a business where it typically takes people 6 months, I got there in 5 weeks. And I would take these people up to the physical therapy suite because inevitably they were all dealing with aches and pains. And the answers I got on how to help them from physical therapy were just uninspiring to me. It was, they're too old for this. That's the best it's going to get. And to give physical therapists a little bit of a nod, they're not all like that. But this was my experience when I went through it. So I was like, all right, I don't want to do this anymore. This is uninspiring. So I went to chiropractic school because I'm like, I'll learn how to save the world there. I wasn't into snapping necks and cashing checks. That wasn't my thing either. So I ended up combining the two of them. One thing led to another. You know, you're working with elite athletes from around the world. People find out. I couldn't justify staying in clinic anymore, owning a CrossFit gym anymore. It wasn't where I saw myself going. Went all in on helping people online. Then coaches wanted to learn how to do what I was doing. Started teaching coaches. One thing leads to another, and here we are with an education that is, we started off teaching coaches in 2019, and every physical therapist, chiropractor, and even trainer came out of the woodwork and would say, your course is not good. You shouldn't be teaching coaches how to do this. You're teaching them to play doctor. It's irresponsible. It's stupid, yada, 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 yada. And in some ways, they were right. 12 weeks to learn how to do what we teach people to do is not enough. 1 hour a week, not enough. So now that course represents 1.2% of what we do. 1.2% of the content, not including our specialties that come after that. And what's so ironic is that all of those people who were telling me how irresponsible I was 6 years ago for doing this thing, now they're doing it and calling it the thing. And they're doing what we did 6 years ago, not what we're doing now.
This is the most stereotypical New York background right now.
Dude. Oh, you hear the sirens?
Yeah. It's like a movie.
Yeah. Welcome to New York. I hope it's not interrupting the conversation.
Not at all, man. Not at all. I love it, dude. So I want to touch on this before I get into, because I have a handful of things that I want to touch on with like the pain aspect. But because I know you so well, I've seen you speak live in person a couple times. I've had countless conversations with you, and I've also had a lot of conversations with coaches. I want to touch on something that you briefly you alluded to in that story of how you got so full in 5 weeks. And it's really just the natural aspect of you being an action taker and a go-getter. And you talked about this at Sam's event with, I think somebody asked you, do you lack confidence or something like that? You're like, absolutely not. There's a lot of times where I have conversations with coaches, and there's some basic principles to building your business, getting a roster full, just one, the desire to get better, right? But also going and talking to the people and knowing which people to talk and how to talk to them, and then creating an offer and all these things. But I feel like there's times where I talk to coaches and the conversation is, why aren't you just doing this and this? And what about this? And I have like 100 ideas. And sometimes it's like, why is there this blankness, right? And I know a bit of it now, but I want to get your take on this because you do so well at just pulling the trigger and taking action and staying productive. How do you help coaches actually do that more often?
Mhm. Simplifying it. Right now, the coach who's listening to this, who's trying to build a career, is they're trying to keep up in the content game. They're like, oh, I'm supposed to learn AI. I got to go learn AI. They're trying all these different things that only suck energy from them and don't add value to their business or energy to their life. So they're frustrated. They're like, I don't know what the hell I'm supposed to do. Do I have to start buying ads? Are there any better offers? What's an offer? Can't I just train people? It's the same thing that doctors run into when they realize that being a successful doctor isn't about being a great doctor. It's about the business side of being a great doctor and being a great doctor. So coaches are faced with all of these possibilities of things that they could do. We help them by making it simple. And I'll do it right now. We help people overcome chronic aches and pains. That's our specialty, right? I can get into why in a moment, but that's what we teach coaches to do. Overcome chronic aches and pains to reclaim an active life. That's the job. I'd love to tell you why, but I'll get into the answer to the question you had. If you picture 5 people who you know, just picture 5 people who you know right now. Name them in your own head. One of those people is compromising on the way that they live because of chronic pain. Now expand that out to 100 people. It's 20 of them. If you asked all 100 of them if they would like help with that, if it was possible to help them, 18 are going to say no. But 2 are going to say yes. And now you have 2 clients. It really is that simple. It's not a numbers game. It's not a ask everybody. It's a learn how to ask the right questions, and I'll tell you what they are, and then help the people who need it. Every time I set up my table on the boardwalk to take questions from the public, people are like, what are you trying to do out here? I'm like, just make good content. Just talk to people. You're not trying to do business? I'm like, no, not everyone needs my help. But when the people who rise up who do, I absolutely ask them to become clients. It's not why I set up, but every single time I set up and take questions from the public, we get a new client inquiry. So the questions to ask people, I have 6, and they work. They will make it feel like you're no longer a sleazy or a pushy person because you're not actually asking for the buy. You're asking if they're interested in the buy. Question number 1, is it true that you have that problem? So in our world, have you been dealing with back pain for a really long time? Yeah. Okay. Question number 2. How long have you had that? That's it. Is it brand new? If it's brand new, they don't want to solve it. If it's really long, it's been 3 years. Oh, wow. What have you tried to fix that? That's question number 3. So is that your problem? How long have you had it? What have you tried to fix it? Tried physical therapy, tried orthopedic, tried chiropractic, worked with a trainer, lost some weight, still got it. Interesting. Question 4, why don't you think those things worked? Let them tell you the things that went wrong with that stuff. I never stuck to it. Okay. Like, investigate that, right? Or they never listened to me. Okay. Learn what didn't work and why it didn't work so that you don't repeat that. And so you can make sure you think you can help them. Question number, what are we at? 5? Yeah,
so.
5. Well, is it important to you to get this resolved? Or is it like a whenever it happens kind of thing? If people say, no, whenever it happens, like it kind of is what it is. Let them go. They're not interested. But if they say, no, of course it's important. I don't know if it's possible, but it's important. Okay. And then question 6, well, if I made some time, would you like to sit down with me so we can talk about this further and find out if working together one-on-one could be a help for you? We're done. 6 really easy questions. And you didn't sell anybody anything. You asked them if they want you to help them.
So first, I want to comment on the boardwalk thing real quick because I love that you do that and it's genius, dude.
Thanks.
Every time I see the video, I'm like, man, I wish I've like tried to look around my area. I'm like, there's nowhere good. I'm on a highway. I can't sit on the side of the highway. I'll get hit by a semi.
Supermarket.
That would be a good place.
Supermarket and post office.
Okay. Because I'm like, man, that is, I think when I saw it the first time, I thought about when we're all sitting out in the cul-de-sac with the kids are riding bikes stuff. I get at least one neighbor that's like, hey, can I pick your brain real quick?
Mhm.
I got my blood work back. And I was looking at my LDL and they started asking me questions. One of my neighbors asked me about creatine. And then I was giving him some advice and stuff. And I didn't, actually, that one was hilarious because I didn't pitch anything. And then he texted me that night. And he goes, you wrote this article? Because he found something on Google. And I was like, yeah, like 6 years ago. It's great. It's a good one. It's on creatine monohydrate. But anyway, I think it's genius. It's a really good way to create content and get in front of people. How do people, because the first thing I hear people thinking in their head, especially younger trainers, is not being able to get in front of people. Maybe they don't have a boardwalk. That's the excuse, or which I kind of just made, or they don't have enough followers on Instagram, whatever it is. What are you telling them to go do? How are you having people go have these conversations?
So they have to develop that muscle first. And there's a lot of ways to develop that muscle because what you're describing is somebody who can't see what's in front of them. And it's totally reasonable. You've never been taught to look for it.
Yeah.
One of the most viral conversations I ever had on the boardwalk was with a woman who gave me all of the reasons why she couldn't be successful getting into health and fitness. And a lot of trainers jumped into my comment section. They were like, these are all excuses. They're all excuses. And I responded to them. I'm like, yes, but they are the best way that she knows how to express what she would describe as reasons why she doesn't think she can do it. Our job is to help them overcome those reasons.
Mm-hmm.
So for the trainer who would say, you just have to do it. Right? Like that's the same thing as my answer to the question you just asked being, just do it. Right? You have legitimate reasons why you don't think that you can. You have to develop the muscle. The first way I teach people to develop the muscle is go learn 5 things about strangers today.
That's good.
Just go talk to enough people to learn 5 things about strangers today. How do I start the conversation with a stranger? I don't know. You do. It depends on who the stranger is. Do you like their shoes? Do they have a cool haircut? Do you see them often? Are they in the same business that you're in? Are they also at the grocery store? Just ask a question to break the ice and then ask them a question about them to learn something. You like their hair, an example of a question for that. Dude, love your haircut. Sounds a little gay. I get it. Love your haircut, dude. Where do you get your haircut? Oh, I go to Anthony's. Cool. You just learned something about a stranger today. Yeah. That's one. Do that 4 more times. That's one thing to do. Second thing to do, overcome the embarrassment. You have to overcome the embarrassment of sounding like you think you know what you're talking about. A way I like to teach people to do that, take out your phone. I don't even care if it's on. Walk around and talk to it like you're the most important person in the world filming a video. Start by doing that in your own backyard so no one sees you. Then walk up and down your street so your neighbors see you, the people who know you're a little bit crazy, but not as crazy as strangers might think you are for doing this. Then walk down a busy street, then go to a busy place. Do it at the farmer's market, inside the grocery store, whatever. I don't even care what you're talking about. Just allow yourself to be important. Now you've done that. Okay, great. Now you have the skill of talking to strangers and putting yourself out there. Now start asking the people who you're in conversations with the 6 questions that I just brought up.
I love it. I think we talked about this when I saw you last. I find that I love talking to people who own brick and mortar businesses, even outside of the industry, but also gym owners and stuff, because online coaches especially have this excuse, I guess, of, well, I'm online. So they just kind of stay bundled up. They don't get out in their community. Whereas, and this is, I hate saying this because I'm an online coach, but I have so much more respect for gym owners than online coaches because, one, the barrier of entry is very high. You have to get a facility. Like that is a big risk compared to, you know what, I'm an online coach today, and you just decide because it's a low barrier of entry. No, there's no regulation. But I have found so much success connected with my community, and also just outside of like monetary success, it's fun and it feels good talking to humans in person. And you do this obviously because you're at the boardwalk talking to people, but you also have a facility. You also work online, and I want to make this point because you're great with this, and I steal ideas from you and other gym owners and such, and I try to go do those things and contribute. And I think a lot of people, when you say go talk to 5 strangers or go have conversations and they need to be putting these reps in, it can be so much easier if you just go search around your community to see what's available. I asked the librarian at my daughter's school if I can donate an American flag Wednesday this week at conferences. She was so excited, but I was like, hey, you have a huge flagpole out there with a dinky little flag. Like, it's puny, and it bugs me every day I drive by the school. Can I buy a much larger flag? And she freaked out and she was so happy. I'm like, cool, now I'm going to be able to shoot a video of putting it up, and like, it's not why I did it, but I'm going to. But that's me connecting. And now the librarian knows me, and the librarian talks to all the teachers, and it's a thing. It's so easy.
Well, the thing what you're describing, you have it wrong. If you think about what Cody just said as a strategy,
yeah.
You're not, like, people think often about, like, okay, who's the person who knows the people? What can it? No, you have to just become the person who would already be offering them to buy a flag. And then you'll meet all of the people.
Yep.
And I understand what you're describing about the in-person business and the online business. They're both hard. And I'll say something that will come across as really, really self-aggrandizing. I'm going to say it anyway. If you take a coach who today doesn't have an online business, but has 20,000 Instagram followers, and you take away my Instagram accounts, and I'm not even allowed to start a new one, and you say, you guys are going to race to build a business that does $500,000 a year, one-on-one coaching people, online, I'm going to win.
Yeah.
And that's without Facebook ads. Like, that's without an online presence anywhere at all. I'm going to win that race. And I'm going to do it like this. I'm going to talk to everybody in my town. Everybody. In person. I'm going to find the people, the 10 of them, who need my help and want it. I'm going to sell them on one-on-one coaching together in person, with the understanding that the goal is for them to not stay an in-person client. The goal is for them to become independent enough that I can write them online programs and check in with them on a regular basis, online, on the phone, whatever this process is. And they don't need to see me in person anymore. And as soon as I do that, I'm going to go get 10 more. And I'm going to beat the person with an Instagram account to $500,000 a year of online business without ever building an online presence. Just like that. And so the reason I share that is because if you're trying to build an online business and it's not working for you and you're doing it on your phone isn't where you build it.
Yeah.
What people think is more followers, more clients, more followers, more clients. To some degree, there's truth to that. But most people who end up being your client as a result of seeing your content are using your content as a reference tool, not as an acquisition tool. They're not like, oh, I like that post. Let me see if that person's taking clients. It's somebody told them about this guy or this woman who they think is really good, who might be able to help them. And they're like, what's their account? Then they go look at the account. Then they follow you for 6 months. And then if you catch them on the right day with the right piece of content and they ask you a question and you can identify that that question is an indicator that they are a lead, you have a shot at closing them. But by the time you've done that enough times to do $500,000, I've already hired staff to take care of the clients that I don't have enough time for.
Yeah. A good addition to add to this too, man, is that if you don't coach well and serve the clients well, you're not going to get followed to begin with, because the person's not going to say, go follow this person. Like, I can think of the amount of times I'm covered in tattoos. So I get stopped often and people will say something about my tattoos. The amount of times I have told people to follow Tony Tattooer on Instagram because he's a good friend of mine. I love him. He has done a lot of my work, and I have never referred anybody else who has done the majority of my body until I found him. It's insane. But his experience, he's so nice. He actually cares about me. He asks about my family. He's actually a client of ours now. Like, I refer him all the time. I was in FedEx the other day and I literally was like showing somebody on my phone to go follow him. That person might go get a tattoo in Boise, Idaho in like 6 months. Who knows exactly what you're saying,
Yeah.
but it's because he served me well. You know what I mean? And so you hit the nail on the head. And even, God, it's funny that you say this because I can think of so many. I invited a bunch of police officers to come train with me because I wanted training partners. And I asked my wife to post in the community Facebook group because the dudes never post in there. I was like, hey, can you ask if any wives of cops have husbands that want to lift? And so I was like, tell them they can come in and lift with me for free. And now I've gathered friends, right? And that's why now we train some police wife and some police officers. And it wasn't because of anything except I wanted some good lifting partners, you know?
Uh-huh.
And the flag pissed me off. So I made a suggestion, right? There's no charity for Christmas toys around here. So I reached out to a couple cities over. Now I'm going to be driving them over. I'm going to be like a hub for them to drop off. And now I'm a part of that because I was looking for somewhere to donate gifts and there's nowhere around here. So it's all those things end up leading me to business, but it's never why I started it, to your point.
Well, I think a lot of coaches think that their results should speak for themselves, right? Because there's two sides to this coin. I have no results, but I'm really good at marketing. Why don't I have clients? I have great results, but I'm terrible at marketing. Why can't I get clients? I want to speak to the great results, but no client side. I got a vasectomy in July of last year. So like a year and a half ago, right? I have
took a
4
left
kids.
turn.
We're done. The vasectomy worked, right? It worked objectively. I had to go give a sample to make sure it worked before I took my family on vacation to Spain because I was like, I don't need to get my wife pregnant in Spain. We were there long enough that it would have been a problem. I get an email that's like, hey, remember, produce your sample less than 1 hour before you deliver it. And I'm like, you guys are 35 minutes away from me. We got some work to do here. And I don't know what I'm going to put it in. So I create my sample. I put it into this old jelly jar, seal it up, Mario Andretti it over there. And I walk into the lobby and I have like 18 minutes left. And this woman walks out. I'm in a Quest Labs. There's just people all around me. There's no front desk. This woman walks out. She's like, what are you here for? I'm like, I have a sample. She's like, of what? I'm like, semen. In front of 7 people in the waiting room. And she's like, I can't take it in that. I'm like, well, I'm not 18, but if you need, I'll produce a new sample for you here. She goes, no. She gave me a sample cup. She's like, transfer it into this. I'm like, great. So I'm standing there in the middle of Quest Labs, like Tom Cruise in Cocktail, right? Moving from one container to the other. And the guy sitting next to me is looking at me like horrified. I'm like, what are you here for? He's like, blood work. I was like, oh, cool. And the woman comes out, long story short, she comes out like 20 minutes after my sample was an hour in. And I'm like, lady, we missed the window. She's like, what window? Like, my email said to get it here in an hour. She's like, I don't think that's true. I'm like, no, it is. She's like, no, not that the email said that. I don't think it had to be here in an hour. She goes and looks it up. She's like, 48 hours is okay. I'm like, well, I drove like a madman over here and just cocktailed in the middle of your lobby to make sure that this got done fast enough. She's like, okay, well, you didn't need to. I'm like, I get it. I get it now. She's like, it's $9. Is that okay? I'm like, sure. I got the results. And I'm not, shooting blanks. Great results. 100% certainty that I got the results I wanted. Do you think I'm making referrals for people to go and get that experience? No. So you have to do more than just get results. You have to make people feel great about the way that they got their results. You have to deliver value that's unexpected on the way to what's expected. Then you get referrals.
It's a hilarious story, and I'm sorry you had to deal with that.
Bring some levity.
But it's a very, very, very good point, and you've probably had this too. I've seen multiple companies, like Precision Nutrition had a big thing about this years ago. They talked about, and we've experienced this, where somebody literally loses the exact amount of weight that they hired us for, yet rated their experience as subpar on a survey that we give. And we're just perplexed, and I'm getting on a call and I'm just trying to figure stuff out. And it is for the exact reason that you said. Part of it is listening and knowing what they actually want outside of just a number. But that's in my case. I love it, man. I think there's so many people that are coaches listening to this that do miss out on these finer details. And I think you can build, I mean, I'm a prime example of this. You can build a fairly large business without any advertising or anything like that if you just focus on these types of things consistently over time.
Well, I think that the thing that I saw in you at the mastermind that we attended back in 2018, April, was that you really wanted to be the guy who could do this. It wasn't about having the business that would do this. It was about being the guy who could.
Mm.
That's what I sensed about you when we sat next to each other at that event. I was like, this guy said he used to be a chunky little soccer player. His business was called Boom Boom Nutrition because they used to call him Cody Boom Boom McBroom. And he wants to be the guy that people take seriously, who takes himself seriously, who helps people, and who is just a giver. Like I can, that's who you wanted to be. And I watched you from a distance go through all of that. Change your company name from Boom Boom Nutrition because you were like, that served me when it was who I was, to Tailored Coaching Method because that's who you were becoming. And that's why you're successful. It's not because you learned the business tactics or because you're handsome or because you're jacked. Those things help. But that's not the reason why. It's because you became the guy who would inevitably be successful. And I think that's the missing piece in most of the education that coaches get from online education courses is they're told like, oh, it's this exercise, it's this stretch, it's this macro, it's this timing, it's this combination. It is all of those things. But they only work if you become the person who would be successful. So everything that we do at Active Life, that stuff is included. But the keystone is making sure that you become the version of you who would be successful using it. Right? I don't know if you guys know what a keystone is as you're listening to this. I told my kids to sit Indian style this week in the house. And they're like, what are you talking about? So I never know if the words I'm using anymore are relevant.
I think of beer, dude. That's like Keystone Ice is the cheap beer
Right.
I used to
Oh,
use
dude,
my fake ID to get.
gross.
It's disgusting.
Gross. That is college.
Yeah.
But so the keystone, like you could put 1,000 bricks in the right places to make a bridge, or an archway. But if you don't have the keystone properly placed, they all just fall. The keystone is your identity. All of the bricks are the tactics, the skills, the marketing, the coaching, all of it, the processes, all of it. They fall if the keystone is misplaced. So when people go through our content, our education, they think they're buying tactical stuff. How do I help people get out of pain? And they are. But the way that they're going to help people get out of pain in large part is by becoming the keystone who can hold all those pieces together. I share that with you because you were undeniably the keystone all along. And that's why it works for you.
Thank you, man. That means a lot. Honestly, hearing that from you is really cool. So thank you for that.
You're welcome.
My question for you in response to this, and it's actually two-part because it's going to help circle back to the why behind getting people out of pain as well. Why do you feel like people struggle, or what are they missing in causing them to struggle to become that? I don't think there's anything abnormally special about me. I think this is where like people would look at me now. I've even said, you had great genetics. And I'm like, if only you knew. I didn't. You didn't see me 15, 20 years ago. But what are people struggling with? Why are they struggling? What do you see of these coaches that doesn't allow them to become that keystone? And then also I want to dive into next is like, why do you guys do the pain part? Why are people in this chronic pain that you solve? Because I think that's a good way to circle it back.
I think the reason why coaches struggle, like, first of all, one of the things that I've said that I've heard you say that you just said is there's nothing special about me. And in some ways that's true, and in other ways it's not. What I think is special about you, what I think is special about me, is that we've undergone that personal transformation to go from who we were to who we are.
Yeah.
I think that what gets in the way for most coaches from being hyper successful is resistance to that process. And so it's not a lack of skill. It's not a sense of entitlement. It's not the wrong aesthetic. You're just not the version of you who's ready to be that kind of successful yet. And you need somebody who can tell you that honestly and help you become it. And I'll give you examples. I was working 90-hour work weeks, making $30,000 a year for 5 years. That was me. I was a doctor of chiropractic. I owned a CrossFit gym, had an event company, owned all these things. I was a failure. I was emasculated. I wasn't contributing to our household. My wife, I had to walk into the kitchen one day and tell my wife I lost $13,500 of $15,000 that she saved to help us buy a house one day. Like, that was me. 8 years ago, that was me. 1 year before I met you. So what changed for me was that I met somebody who told me, if you want to be more successful, you have to become a better person. And I was like, I don't know what that means. I already treat everybody exactly how I would want to be treated. And that guy taught me that people don't want to be treated how I do. And that I had to get over myself. It was easy for me to treat people the way that I want to be treated because I understood how I want to be treated. But most people don't want that. They want to be treated how they want to be treated. And in order for me to figure out how they want to be treated, I have to ask enough questions to understand them better than they understand themselves. And then I have to accept who they are without trying to change them and offer them influence. That's really, really hard when you think you're great already, when you're working your ass off already, when you have undeniable results for people who would give you a fucking chance already, but you're struggling. And I was fortunate to have bumped into a guy who was down to tell me the truth about me. And so what I think is in the way for most people is they haven't found the person who they respect enough to tell them the truth in a way that they're prepared to hear it. And then to guide them to the new version of themselves that would be inevitably successful.
I want to add two things to what you're saying. One thing I want to point out is there's 3 types of people probably listening. There's the person that you identified as already thinking they're great. And that's an issue because you're not willing to grow and see where you're not great and realize you're not actually that great. You can grow. There's the person who is down in the dumps. The person that was where you were, failing, quote unquote. That is a very difficult place to be too, because you have to force yourself to not identify with the failures and grind through it. I mean, at the end of the day, a lot of success is endurance. It's the willingness to be able to just get kicked in the nuts over and over and over and over again until you make it. And then there's that person in the middle who can't identify with anything. And I say this because it's all hard. No matter what, it's hard. You have to swallow the bullet and just go for it, bite the bullet and do it. And that's really, really important. The second thing I want to point out is just the curiosity aspect. I think seeking out a mentor, seeking out somebody, even my grandfather used to always say, you got 2 ears, 1 mouth, use them proportionately. He said it to me as a smart ass because I ran my mouth a lot, but I've carried that with me because I want to listen. I want to ask questions. I want to learn about people. And I think when you start doing that, it does help. Just like if you learn about somebody and you end up respecting them and that person's going to be the person to tell you that, ask yourself why you respect them. I guarantee it's because they've done a lot of hard shit. They've gotten through things. They had a strong character getting through things. They've been successful despite their story, whatever it may be. And now the only way you can earn that same amount of respect for yourself is to do something similar. Like it's all hard, no matter which end you're at.
I mean, you can be great and struggle, like financially and confidence wise. You can be the person that I was great. I was, but I wasn't successful. And the reason why I wasn't successful is because I was great at enough of the things to help the people who would let me help them. but it's my responsibility to be great at the things that make people want to come to me to help them. And that wasn't a marketing thing. It was a how I communicate with you thing. It was a, what is the energy that I brought to the room? You know, there are still people today who won't have me on their podcast because I cut them off at the knees in my comment section on Instagram in 2015 because I said something stupid. And instead of being able to handle it, I had to tell them how dumb they were and prove to the world that they were dumb. It wasn't good enough that they knew I was smarter than them. Everybody had to know. And that wasn't productive. It just wasn't. And I was angry because I was like, I'm really good at this. Why won't people just listen to me? And it's the best headbanger band in the world isn't getting the R&B fan to listen. And there weren't enough people who like my kind of music. So I had to learn how to play a different kind that I enjoyed that they enjoy.
Having a great trainer or a great training program to follow makes a huge difference when trying to achieve peak fitness or see a total body transformation. But finding either of those things online can feel next to impossible because of how much stuff is out there. Not to mention scheduling time with a trainer in person can be tough if you're a busy individual. But the Taylor Trainer app solves both of these problems because it's an on-demand personal training app that gives you customizable training programs based on your gender, your goals, your schedule, your experience level, and so much more. So stop spinning your wheels in the gym and use a system that's proven effective, backed by science, and is guaranteed to help you actually look like you work out. Head over to thetaylortrainer.com or visit any app store and download the app right now to receive a free trial so that you can test out just how effective my training programs are before committing financially. There might be some carryovers with this, but switching to what you're actually successful in, what you created your businesses around, why are people staying in pain? And why did you decide that this is, I mean, you kind of just explained why this is what you decided to help with, because it's an issue. Chiros aren't helping and PTs aren't helping and trainers don't know what the hell they're doing with it. And it's a problem. And you attacked a problem, which is the smartest way to be successful at anything, is find a solution for the problem. Why are people in that state and not creating change?
Well, I want to start by giving people some grace if they haven't found the problem that they're going to solve. I didn't choose chronic pain because it was a big market. It just ended up being who I was helping, and I ended up being really good at it.
Yeah.
The reason why people are stuck in chronic pain is because people misunderstand where pain comes from. And the systems that are set up are not meant to help with that. I'll explain. If I'm having a heart attack, I want a doctor. If I just had shoulder surgery and I need to rehab it, I want a physical therapist. Whatever the thing is, right? I want the person who does it. But at the end of the day, chronic pain is not anybody's job. Chronic pain is often a result of your brain misunderstanding the signals that your body is sending. So what happens is, for somebody who, you can see it in people's brains on a scan in the weeks after they initially get hurt. It's predictable who is going to end up with chronic pain and who is not, without knowing anything about their history, what the injury was, just by looking at brain scans and what lit up when they got hurt. It's predictable. Pain starts in our brain, and it's felt in our body. All pain, acute pain and chronic pain. There's a story, it's a famous story about two different people on construction sites around the same time in the UK. One guy accidentally shoots a nail through his hand. He's like, God damn, that hurts. All right. Gets in the car, drives himself to the hospital. He knows someone's got to pull it for him. It's a nail in his hand. There's another guy, falls off a ladder, nail goes through his boot. Agony. This guy is in agony. Has to be driven to the hospital by ambulance, given morphine to calm down. They get to the hospital. Before they're going to pull something like that, they have to do an x-ray so they can see what tissues are at risk if they pull this thing the wrong way. It went in between his toes. It didn't cut his skin at all. The nail never touched him. But he was in agony, and it was real. Pain starts in our brain. It's all about interpretation. Now, people will hear that and say, so it's all in my head? I need a psychologist? No. It starts in our brain. It goes to our body. And then we start living differently. We start living differently. We create real dysfunction. We create real atrophy. We create real damage as a result of living differently than we're supposed to because we felt something and learned something from it that might or might not have been true when it happened. So our job, what we teach the coach, is everything about the anatomy and the physiology, yes. Everything about the programming and the assessment and the interventions, yes. And we teach them how to help somebody start to change their beliefs through both education and physical work. So for example, if you have back pain when you reach down to the ground, this will shock people if they do it and they try. If you have back pain when you reach down to the ground, then you know it. And you spend 1 week, 10 minutes a day, meditating on you reaching down to the ground, smiling without back pain. You reach, picture yourself reaching down to pick up your kids, picture yourself reaching down to pick something up off the floor, 10 minutes a day of you doing that and smiling while you do it. In 1 week, you will have less pain reaching down to the ground. That's crazy. So what we have to do is overcome every layer of that for somebody. We had a woman who came out to see me one time who had a herniated disc in her low back, and her orthopedic surgeon told her, never lift more than 55 pounds again. She's 26 years old, healthy chick. That day, she lifted 55 pounds off the ground with me, no problem. Not nervous at all. 55, no problem, Cody. I'm like, you ready? She's like, for what? I said, for 55 and a half. And she's like, I don't know. Dude, heart rate spiked. She's sweating. She's flush. Adrenaline dump. Over 2 1/4 pound plates added to a 55-pound bar that she just lifted like a hot knife through butter. So much fear. She lifted the bar. How'd that feel? Hurt a little bit, but it was okay. Want to go up? Over the course of an hour, she got to 205 pounds for 8 reps. Months later, she became a qualifier for the Olympic trials in the skeleton. Skeleton, for people who don't know, is when you throw yourself on a sled and go face first down a mountain faster than a car speeds on the highway. And one of the tests that you have to do to get into that sport is a 1 rep max power clean. And if you don't clean above a certain number, I don't know what it is, you're disqualified. I don't know why they chose that, but they did. Months earlier, she was afraid to pick up 55 and a half pounds. My job is to help her gain the confidence at every increment from the bottom up. The pain that she felt at 55 and a half was invented. There was no more tissue damage. She moved beautifully. She expected pain, so she felt pain. My job is to build the security in the thing that she fears. We have to teach coaches how to do that. I'll give you another simple thing that we do that helps people overcome chronic pain fast, really fast. Like somebody listening to this right now will have less pain when I'm done explaining this in 2 minutes. Ask 100 people, what is pain? You will get 100 different answers. Right?
Yeah.
So now what happens is when the doctor tells you or the trainer tells you, if it hurts, don't do it. How do you decide? How do you decide if what you just felt is pain, if that hurts, or if it's just a normal thing. You don't. And if you don't know, you start to experience things that once didn't cause you any discomfort at all in a heightened state. So think about that for a second. You've felt this thing 1,000 times. It never hurt before. There's nothing wrong with you. But now, because you're paying attention to everything that you're feeling, you feel it more. And because you feel it more, you register it as something that hurts that you shouldn't do. Imagine that multiplied across all the things that you do in your life. You end up doing way less and fearing way more. So we give people 4 parameters to follow that will help them identify whether they should avoid that thing right now or not. Number 1, is it a 4 out of 10 or less on the discomfort or fear scale? Rate it yourself. I'm not telling you what it is. 10, we're going to the hospital. 1, it's a massage. 4 or less. If it's a 4 or less, move on to question 2. As you do it, does it get better or stay the same, or does it get worse? If it gets better or it stays the same, you're not doing damage. You might even be making it better. Keep going. Question number 3. When you stop, does the discomfort that you experienced while you were doing it go away? If it does, you didn't just do damage. If I stabbed you, it would hurt. When I pulled the knife out, it would still hurt. And then finally, 24 hours later, do you feel like you are back in the thing that you were doing the day before? Or do you just have general soreness or nothing at all? If you just have general soreness or nothing at all, you did no damage. If you feel like you were back in that set, you probably just did a little bit too much, but you didn't do damage. You were fine the whole time. If you follow those 4 rules and start experimenting with the things that cause you pain today that you're avoiding because you've been told not to do things that hurt, you will find an entire world that is open to you that 5 seconds ago was closed.
This is exactly where, and we've talked about this, I think that a lot of, and you actually kind of mentioned this earlier, there's a lot of certifications and courses and mentorships and programs that fail to understand this one part. Information is great. Knowledge, we need it. As to your point, programming, assessment. If you don't know those things, that's probably an issue. It's kind of your job.
Mm-hmm.
But getting somebody to do it well, to do it often, consistently, and to do it for a long period of time so that the result actually happens, because none of it's going to happen like this. They need to consistently get out of pain, stay out of pain, train the right way. In my case, eat healthy, continue following the plan, doing the training. That's where everybody fails to really connect the dots, I feel. So I love that you're talking about this. You gave a good example there, but I want to see if there's anything more for people listening who are like, okay, great. I'm not going to tell this woman to lift that barbell. That sounds very that's a high risk factor. This lady's like, my doctor said this, and you're like, you're deadlifting 200 pounds today. And you turn her into an adrenaline junkie, which is really cool. But what's the base level? What's that?
They shouldn't do what I did. I have extensive training. We provide that extensive training to our clients, and never did I tell her to do something. I kept on asking, do you want to do that?
Mm.
She kept on saying yes. And a question that I ask people all the time when they say, my doctor told me don't do this, and I hear it every week, is just to litigate the specifics. Your doctor told you never to lift 10 pounds? There's a video of me talking about this with somebody in front of the post office. She's like, yeah. I said, why not 9? Why not 11?
Mm.
How do you think he chose 10? A nice round number. And what happens for people is they start to understand, oh, it's not actually about the number. And it's not that the doctor's irresponsible either. That doctor wants you to stay safe by only moving loads off of the ground that you can responsibly control. And since he doesn't have a way of testing that with you, and you don't have a training agent you're presenting that you're able to communicate effectively, he chose 10 or 55 or 20 or whatever he chose. So the question stops being about what the number is, and it starts being about, where's your threshold for good movement? What are the signs that that was a bad rep? These kinds of things become data points along the way that indicate you're on your way to being in pain or you're not.
Do you think a big piece of why you're successful with this and your team is successful at teaching coach this is the storytelling part? Because it's
No.
one, storytelling is very engaging, but the way you are articulating stuff, and I don't mean it's all based on storytelling, but I even I wrote down the pop can video you did is phenomenal. If people haven't watched the boardwalk, go follow Sean and watch the boardwalk stuff. The pop can video is such a great demonstration. The band for the tendon and then the band that rolled the dumbbell, I was like, oh, that's genius. But these things are such a good visual. Like you get, and what you're really doing there with this demonstration and with the stories is you're getting somebody to believe, going back to what you were getting the people in the story to do. You're getting us to believe that we can do it as trainers and as coaches, and that there's no written in stone rule book that you always need to follow every time. People have these ideas and these stories in their heads, and it's kind of our job to change them safely in a way.
It goes back to being the person. The stories are part of the person. And I'll give you a really simple example everyone can go and see in 2 seconds. Go to my Instagram account and look at the top 3 posts that I have pinned. The one on the left and the one on the right are examples of me training trainers in an environment where they're at a seminar. One is learning how to brace. The other one is learning the difference between tendons and muscles. And they're both analogies that I use that give really good visuals for a coach to understand how to do things. I had those in 2015 and I was failing. Then go look at the one in the middle where the woman gives me all of the reasons why she can't do it. And look at the way that I talk to her. Instead of telling her what I would have said in 2015, which is, lady, do you want to be successful or not? You're just making excuses. That's what I would have said in 2015.
Mm-hmm.
Like, you can tell me all this stuff. It's all bullshit. You can either do this or you can not do this. I'll help you if you want to do it and we'll be successful. But you can't talk like this. That would have been me in 2015. Today, it was a 30-minute conversation that we boiled down to a 2.5-minute post that I was incapable of having in 2015. And the ability to have that conversation combined with the storytelling stuff is what makes it so successful. And we teach our clients how to do that.
How do you teach people how? Part of this is where I think, and the reason I'm asking this because I know there's people thinking this. There's certain, and I think there is an element to success. I will say that you either got it or you don't. Like I do think there's an element to that, especially with like entrepreneurship and stuff. But with just being successful in service and in coaching and things like that, I think I have a tough time deciding if it's a lack of patience because you said 2015, which means that you didn't realize this December 31st, 2015, and then January 1st, 2016, you're like, now I can do it. And now I can convince people and create belief. Is it just this patient thing? Is it this being misled by what else is in the industry, swaying them? Like what is causing these people to not be able to do this as well?
Are you talking about the coach or the client?
The coach. The client, I would, and you can correct me if I'm wrong in this, I would say the client, it's usually because they haven't found that coach yet.
Yeah, I agree with that. There's a lot of reasons for the coach to struggle. The biggest ones, like I said earlier, they're not the person yet. And I know people don't like that because they're like, what does that mean? How do I become the person? What is the guy describing? I can talk to you about how to become the person. It is what we do. People who buy our content, who buy our mentorship, like I said, they think they're buying fitness business, healthcare business. They are, but they're getting a personal development product disguised as what they think they want, right? Like that. We know what you think you want. We know what you want. We give it to you, but we also give you what you need, which is the personal development to be successful with it. The reason why coaches struggle is oftentimes a scarcity mindset and a lack of patience in the conversation. It's a lack of curiosity. You have to be able to help people who are never going to pay you, or you're never going to be able to get to the people who would.
Mm-hmm.
It's about what's in it for them, not what's in it for you. Coaches too often are thinking about, I need to make enough money to pay my bills, dude. I get that. The average coach who comes into our program is making $3,100 a month when they enroll. 1 month later, they're making another $847 on top of that. That's the growth in the first month. In the first 4 months, they grow by $1,900 on average. And in the first year, they grow by $4,500 per month on average, more than doubling what they came in at. Right? The average person comes in at $3,100. At the end of their first year, they're at $7,600 and they choose to stay on. We don't force them to. The reason that happens is because in the first month, we go all in on breaking beliefs. And so the culture that they come into is so winning. It is so, we will not accept no in any way, shape, or form for your personal growth, that they're forced to grow. We have, like, our community has 347 people in it right now on Slack. If you ask a question, our clients are going to answer that question for you faster than our team can. And it's going to be a good answer. We had a call today, and I led the call. I get to lead the call like once every 3 months with the clients. And a woman was talking about real problems that she's having in her life that have nothing to do with her business. She wants to be more present for her kids. And she's struggling to be present for her kids because she doesn't like the things that her kids need. That's real for people. She doesn't want to cook for them, but she feels like she needs to cook for them, for example. And depending on the time of the month for her, it's easy or it's hard to overcome the inertia not to do it. We spent 20 minutes on the call with 30 other people, her being vulnerable and sharing this truth about herself so that other people could support her and provide questions and answers to help her go and fix that. The reason why that's important is if that's on her mind, she's not thinking about where's my next client coming from. That's not the primary problem anymore. And she starts to resent going after clients because she's got this problem at home. So we have to be able to solve the big one to make room for the small ones. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
That's the personal development. It's the being able to be the person who actually solves that problem for themselves. And then does it so well they can help other people solve it for themselves. The second reason why coaches are often struggling to be successful is they're not doing one of 3 things I think every coach needs to be successful. The first thing is you need to solve a valuable problem. Most problems are not valuable. What is a valuable problem? A valuable problem is a problem that when solved, there is no amount of money you could offer somebody to take the problem back. So if somebody has an issue and you can help them solve it, and then you offer them 20 grand to take that problem back, if they would take 20 grand over the solution to their problem, what you solve for people is not valuable. Guy wanted to get a muscle up. I helped him get a muscle up. Everyone cheered. He was so excited. I don't know why he won't pay me $150 a session for 20 sessions. Because if you gave him 20 grand and said you can never get a muscle up, he takes it. It's not valuable. We help people overcome chronic pain. It's not about the pain. It's about the pain behind the pain. What can't you do with your life because of the pain? Can't go on vacation, can't hike, can't get on the ground and play with my kids. I can't cook the way I used to want to. I can't take care of my husband. I can't take care of my wife. Can't do my job. If I could help you get that life back, and then I gave you 20 grand to lose it again, would you take it? Like, fuck no. That's a valuable problem. The second thing that a coach needs to have if they want to be successful is there need to be a lot of people who have that problem. You might be the best person in the world at helping somebody chop wood with an axe. But how valuable is chopping wood with an axe? There's somebody who thinks it's extremely valuable because it's part of how they live. But how many people are there like that? Not a lot. You could be the best in the world and be broke. So there need to be a lot of people. Why do we focus on chronic pain? Well, I love it. And there's 55 million Americans with it. Last, there need to be few people who solve the problem. So there needs to be a high value to the problem, a high supply of the problem, a high demand for the problem, and a low supply of the solution. Valuable problem, high demand for it, low supply of the solution. What is a low supply of the solution? Simple math. For every 1,000 people who have the problem, there's one person who can solve it. Back into that math. For us, there's 55 million people as a low ball in the United States who have that problem. Divide 55 million by 1,000. There would need to be 55,000 people who say that they do what we do before there's any world in which the service gets commoditized. Right now, there's 374. You get to name your price. You got to deliver. Now, people will say, that's great, but not all 55 million are going to want it. No, that's true. That's true. So let's do some more math. Let's say only 10% of them want it. It's 5.5 million people. Let's say of the 5.5 million people, only 10% of them can afford it. That's 550,000 people. How many clients can you handle? Because there's 550,000 who are looking for the help, at least.
What? I don't want to open a can of worms too much because I know we're coming up on time.
I love cans of worms, and I have a time budget unless you don't, and I'm good with it if you don't.
Niches. Because, I one of the things that at first I'm like, I want to ask him, how important does he see this? And what do you teach the people in your program? Because there's some people that it's just like, I read their bio and I'm like, God damn, like, get rid of that. It's like the most ridiculous niche I've ever heard. And then, but you started talking about, you got to solve a very specific problem. It's got to be high demand. Not that many people solve it. And I'm like, oh shit, maybe he does want a pretty specific niche. And then you break down the numbers and you're like, actually, I mean, there's quite a few fucking people that need that help too. So
part of our problem was that there are so many people in the chronic pain community that we had to narrow it down to who in the chronic pain community. And so we identify them as active people or people who identify as active who are dealing with chronic pain. And as a result, are compromising on their life. It has to be all of those things. Now, what you're talking about is the people who are like, if you're 25 to 40-year-old man making $100,000 a year and you got 20 pounds of belly fat, I'm like, dude, so if I have 21 pounds, you won't take me? I'm 42. I can afford your services. You won't take me? And shut the fuck up.
Yeah.
For us, yes, a niche is important. Yes, a niche is important. But you have to love that niche. And you have to be able to describe for that niche the consequences of the people you help if they don't work with you. That's the difference. For us, active people in chronic pain who are compromising on their life as a result of it. That's the end user that we help. And we're looking for coaches and trainers who want to build a financially freeing career learning how to do that. Right?
Would you say it's more about the pain that somebody's going through then, not the role they play, the age they are, the gender they are? Because nowhere in there did you say male or female or 30 to 50 years old or anything like that. It's like, you're struggling with this specific problem. I don't care who the fuck you are. I help that problem.
Yes. What people misunderstand and what gurus don't understand and don't even want to is when you're teaching somebody the niche that they go towards, you're not actually trying to teach them to look for somebody of that age, of that demographic, of that psychographic. You're teaching the client who you're mentoring how to look for somebody with the attributes that you're excited to work with. That's what you're really looking for. Attributes. So for us, it's somebody who's in pain, who refuses to believe that this is the best it's going to get, who can imagine what life would look like if they could actually resolve this problem, who's ready to pay somebody to help them overcome this problem because it's valuable enough to them. And there's millions of them. What we need is more coaches who are excited to be the person who solves that problem. Because we used to do $1 million+ per year solving that problem for people. We've now enrolled enough coaches that it feels like a conflict for me to have that arm of our business. So I shut down $1 million+ a year part of our business out of ethical beliefs that we need to be sending that business to our clients who we're developing, the coaches. And so we need 55,000, an army to solve this problem in the US. And when we were talking earlier about having it or not having it, it's not about having what Cody has or having what I have to build the business that you want. I want a business that changes the world. I've mortgaged my house as collateral to build this business. The house that we bought with my wife's money that she did finally save up and that I was able to finally contribute to. I retired my wife. So if I blow it, we lose everything. You don't have to take that kind of risk to build a business that would make you happy, that would make you financially successful, that would give you time freedom, and that would make you proud of the work that you do. So you don't have to be me. You have to believe that you can follow me, and then we can help you.
So good, man. Okay, I have one final question to wrap up, but I wanna throw you the alley-oop because I know you have something to offer, and I want people to be able to jump on it seriously. And I say it like blunt like that because I do believe in what you do, and I think we're both this way. I took so many notes when you were speaking at the event that I was also speaking at, and I think there's a lot of people who, for whatever reason, don't do that kind of thing. I'm always just listening and taking notes and doing stuff. And I remember voice memoing some people on my team. I'm like, dude, Sean just said this thing. We're going to talk about this when I get back. He broke this down. Like, it's a couple of the things you said with the sales calls, man, just blew my mind. I was like, oh, that's such a good frame. I love that. So anyway, I believe in what you guys do. I love what you do. For the people listening, I get nothing out of it. We don't do affiliate shit or anything. I genuinely love and appreciate everything Sean does, and I believe in it. And I know he has something to offer that everybody listening really could benefit from. A big portion of our listeners are coaches, and I know they can get a lot of value out of it. So tell us a little bit about that, and then I'll throw my last question for you.
I think that you're talking about is what I want to offer to your listeners.
Yes.
We do a workshop that coaches used to fly in from around the world and pay $1,500 to attend. So they would buy their airfare, buy their hotel, miss work, and come take our workshop and pay $1,500 to be there for 2 full days. So they're flying in the night before. They're often flying out the next day. 4 days out of work, $1,500, flights, hotels, the food, yada, yada, yada. To make a long story short, we found that our clients who are actually working with us already and educated on this topic already were more fun for us to work with in person because we get different questions, right? It wasn't so repetitive. But we wanted to be able to educate coaches from around the world on the stuff that we do. It didn't jive with the way that we were doing it. So we took the the seminar that people paid $1,500 to attend in person and turned it into an online seminar. And we sell it for $19. You can do it from the comfort of your own house. I'm not even asking you to do that. What I want to do is give your listeners the workbook that we give out at that seminar so that they can see what's in it, so that they can see what they would learn if they went through just the introductory thing that we do. Because in that workbook, I'm confident they're going to find more value than they would get from the entirety of something like a NASM CES, from the entirety of something that they would get from going through a 12-week course from a physical therapist who promises to give you the right exercises. They're going to get more out of this little handbook that we made, 78 pages, I think, than they're going to get from that stuff in totality. And when you download it, coaches, what I'm asking you to remember is I can give you that for free. And then I can give you 8 hours of content live for $19. Imagine what we could do if you paid. Mm-hmm. So I'll give you the link to the workbook and they can download it for free.
I love it. I love it. I'm going to be downloading it. Everybody listening, we'll put that in the show notes. And again, I think there's something to say about, I've gotten this a lot myself too, from people who don't get it. And they're like, why are you giving so much away for free or so cheap? It's like, because there's nothing that can replace true coaching and mentorship, like working in relationship with a professional in their field. Like, there's nothing that can replace that. So you can give away so much value and so much free stuff that it blows people's mind. And the other layer is just insane, and that's not to devalue anything that's free, because I give a lot of value inside the free and cheap stuff too. But coaching is unmatched, and this is a coaching service I don't provide, what you're talking about right now.
Caleb Ralston, I don't know if you know who he is, but he's a content creator who's a strategist for content creators or for brands. He was like, what is everyone doing that's zigging? I'm going to zag. He created a 6-hour course on how to brand yourself and put it on YouTube for free. And he's gotten Fortune 500 companies as clients because of it. Gave them everything.
Yeah.
And then they came and paid him 6 figures plus per year.
I mean, look at Alex Mosey. He comes out with another book, and then I just saw it last week. All of a sudden, it's on Spotify for free. It's the whole thing, audiobook. It's like, there's a reason to that. And he tells you up front that it's going to be free.
Right.
And he still sells millions of dollars in these books. So there's a common theme here. So the final question I have for you is just something I always try to ask on these is, what does choose hard mean to you?
Choose hard. Okay. I want to answer this really carefully. A lot of people like to pound their chest and talk about mental toughness. I always do the hard thing. I'm down to do the hard thing. And then when you ask those people to take 2 weeks away from the gym, they have like a system default and fucking spaz out. Can't do it. For that person, going to the gym is not the hard thing. It's having the resilience to not go and know that you'll be okay or even great. So to me, choosing hard is identifying your blind spots and choosing to explore them. Because it's scary to learn about yourself in ways that might reveal things that you don't like about yourself, that you're forced to either decide to live with or to change at the consequence of maybe losing friends, maybe losing business, maybe losing status, whatever. That's what choose hard means to me.
Dude, that is good. I like that. Identifying your blind spot. And this is part of why we have it as choose hard, because it's not this bravado, David Goggins kind of thing. And I love David Goggins, honestly. I think he's great, and I love his book. But it's not that. And I love the different interpretations I get from people on this, because there's certain things. I mean, this is like coaching cues. Sometimes you say it in a certain way and it just like hits. That resonates with me so much, man. I love that. And it's why I want the message to be the message. It's not about tough guy mentality. It is about getting people to create positive change in their life. It started with talking to soccer mom Susie, who needs to lose 30 pounds. Like, choose hard for her was not anything hard for me, but that's how it started, That's what it's about.
I could go on and on and on about why Susie decided to work with you.
Go for it. I got a couple, man. I'm just playing.
Because it's because you chose hard for 7 years, man.
Yeah.
You were the person who could meet Susie where she was instead of asking her to meet you where you are. And she saw that. She felt safe. She felt secure. She felt empowered. And she took a step.
Having a place of understanding is massively important as a coach. You shared a video not too long ago. I've talked about this, but I haven't shared a video. I don't know who the person was. They did a reel on like, somebody needs to change because just because they're jacked and they're an influencer doesn't mean they can coach you, kind of thing. And you were saying, and this is so true, it's like, yes, you got to know shit, but like, you also probably got to look the part too. Perception is reality to an extent, and I think there is this delicate balance. You can't just be the jacked meathead, but you also can't be a keyboard warrior and citing research and not, actually look healthy.
We're talking about a post that a woman named Zara made. It's
Yes.
like a live with Zara. And she was talking about how the fitness influencer culture needs to change because just looking good doesn't mean you know anything.
Mm-hmm.
And I was agreeing with her. And she goes on to say it in her post too. I just didn't want to share a minute 30 long post of hers and then talk on top of it. It doesn't mean that you know anything just because you look great. And it's not fair that people judge a book by its cover. But cover artists are a thing for a reason.
Mm-hmm.
And the number one predictor of if a book is going to sell well or not, besides the following that the author has, is what does the cover look like?
I buy wine based on the label quite often. I don't know if it tastes
Dude,
good. It's a cool bottle.
Sometimes I wish I was a drinker because the liquor industry has the best branding.
Oh,
It's so sexy.
yeah. Yeah. But it's one of those things too, where when people complain about it, you just go, and? Because the longer you complain about that, the longer you're going to be stuck. The sooner you go, that sucks. It's unfair. But I got to keep moving on, or I got to do something to leverage what's going on, because at the end of the day, it is what it is. And if I want to be successful, I got to accept that.
The simplest way to describe the transformation I went through that helped me be successful is I used to try to change human nature and it wasn't working. So I changed my own and it did.
Yeah. So good. Dude, I could go on and on about this on this topic. I said I was going to wrap it up a little bit ago, so we'll actually cut it there. Dude, thank you so much for coming on and spending more than an hour with me. I appreciate it. I always love talking to you, and there's just so much I can pull out of you. I'm going to put all your stuff in the show notes. Can you just let everybody know best place to find you and check out more about you, and then I can list it all in the description?
They can head right to Dr. Sean Pastuch on Instagram. Everything that they're going to be looking for is going to be linked from there. And you just got to get your family out to the East Coast and move to the beach, man. You got to turn into a beach person. Good sunsets out here.
I'll tell you what, sitting at dinner and going, wait, you guys all live 10 minutes from each other. I actually just got on a call with one of our clients who owns a big yoga studio out there that we're going to partner with and stuff. And I'm like, oh, so where do you live? And literally right there, I'm like, God, it's another person on Long Island. Like, it's just ridiculous. So who knows, man? I might be out there soon. But anyway, dude, thank you so much. I appreciate it. I'm going to link all that stuff in the show notes, and we got to have you back on soon, man.
I'd come on every day.